There we go. I got it. I don't know why it was such a pain in the ass, but it was a pain in the ass. But I have no idea why. Why? Oh no, I'm talking to myself.
David.
I'm talking to anybody who's listening. I'm not picky.
There we go.
Stuart, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, good, thanks. I'm just wondering if we can watch this through YouTube.
I just got it going on YouTube.
Good.
Yeah, for some reason, Zoom and YouTube on a Mac just don't get along right. But I don't have a Windows laptop, and I'm not buying another laptop anytime in the near future. I can tell you that right now.
Makes sense.
I've actually have people like, oh, why is he Mac? You should get another computer. It's like, no. Not doing it.
I'm with you. I'm either Mac or Linux. Never anything else.
No, I mean, I hate everything equally. I just don't want to buy another laptop. Simple as that.
Well,
I'm cheap. I'm not buying another laptop.
no, there we go. I'm getting
So far, it's me and John. I'm going to put a couple more chairs in case anybody shows up. So forgive me. I know Leaf is coming because he's bringing the projector. And then I'm just waiting for Marcio to log in. Since I think he's doing the questions tonight. I hope he's doing the questions. Very short meeting. What put these out?
Huh?
Should I put a few of these out?
Oh, sure. Well, people know that.
Fair enough. Somebody just logged in. Bot. Thank you, John. Because one of the reasons I prefer doing the live stream is because YouTube automatically records for me. Makes life so much easier. This is the one that can go. And if anything goes horribly, terribly wrong, I've got the Discord channel running too. In the meantime, gentlemen, excuse me, I'll be back.
There we go.
Okay. Well, I know Leaf is coming. Because you wanted to give me the projector, so. Oh, excuse me.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Marcial, not bad. Yourself?
Oh, good, thanks.
I'm posting the Zoom link into the Discord channel.
Okay,
You can let our guests know. Just a second. Okay, and just to make Marcia, I'm gonna PM you the Zoom link as well, just in case.
okay.
There you go. Hey Brian, how's it going, bud?
It's going pretty good, darn good. How's it going with you?
As soon as I wake up, I'll let you know.
Awesome.
Ugh, today.
Question for you.
Yeah.
You're saying in the World of Commodore about do not collect the info about vendors. We're gonna have a list though on the Friday. So when I set up tables, I kind of like get people kind of like put little labels on the tables. It's like, you know, who's gonna go where.
Yeah, I'm gonna collect that on tomorrow, sometime between tomorrow and Sunday night. And
Okay,
then we'll email that out. All the vendors
Cool.
we know so far. There's always a chance that somebody's gonna show up on the day of. That's always a thing, right?
yeah, I'm
Interestingly,
gonna
I
be
haven't
there
heard
like
from Zoe yet.
Friday afternoon at the Admiral Inn, so I can be able to like set up everything and get it all ready.
I'm taking Friday off. See what I need to get, and then I'm coming in and start setting up, like after work, something like that on Friday. So that's the plan for me as well.
Cool.
And then what'll happen, I don't know. We are getting a boardroom. Marcio arranged for a documentary maker to come out. Now it's still waiting for his GoFundMe or his Kickstarter rather to be finished. But yeah, we may also end up in a documentary as well. So that's gonna be fun.
Excellent.
Yeah, memories of the Starbucks commercial. Unfortunately, I couldn't make that day. Kind of annoyed that I couldn't make that day. So let me. And then there's the Christmas party, but I'm not doing any planning on the Christmas party other than coming in. World of Commodore is taking a lot out of me the last couple of days.
I asked Dennis to join us a bit early, just to work out some kinks, so hopefully he takes my advice. Because he's new to Zoom, by the way, so we gotta show him the ropes on how to share a screen and all that, so
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, it's his first time ever. He's downloading the app and all that, and
yeah, Zoom, I mean, there's other apps, but Zoom seems to be £1,000 more and mostly works. The only trouble I'm having with Zoom is interfacing to YouTube. Some days it's a real pain in the rear,
yeah.
but I mean, it does work. I can't deny it does. That does work. That does not work.
Mhm.
Or something like that. English is a little hard today. I've been dealing with too many emails. Okay. So I'm gonna, okay, so Brian, I see your post on the management group.
Mhm.
Lee is another speaker, speaking of the devil. So yeah, we've got at least a couple more speakers on top of your two, so we should be okay. We should be good for speakers this year. The lottery and the doors are the only thing I'm actually worried about at this moment.
We were chatting with everybody.
Everybody.
Hey, everybody.
David Pleasance is giving us a bunch of books.
Awesome sauce.
Or we'd probably keep a percentage of the sales and put that into the kitty. And he's bringing a bunch here as well for shipping. He's shipping a bunch here. So that
Hello,
would be fun.
everybody. I don't know if you're catching
Camera's
me.
over there.
Oh,
I'm using the remote cam.
hello, everybody.
Well,
So yeah, it should be fun this year. Everybody's getting excited already. I know for me, it's not complicated until the World of Commodore.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of a December meeting.
Oh God, yes. But that's not, nothing serious for the December meeting. That's all I gotta say.
But no, that's around the Commodore Christmas now, which is always.
I'll bring my.
The shoot 'em out game.
Exactly, make it nice and fun. Sorry, I got a smoothie thing. You guys can do that.
Oh, so.
Too
Is
many
that part
emails
of
today.
this? Sorry?
Too many emails today.
Yeah, make sure you delegate around, right?
Blind.
What we did in the past is one person did website, one person did speakers, and one of those kind of.
We're getting through. Huge. Explain the word, Dave's been spreading words, we're getting some help, but I think it's a little more. But most of the day is what I'm worried about. Financial, the interact payments.
Yes, they're in my inbox and I'm
Okay.
going to enter them into your spreadsheet whenever I get access to the computer, then
So
it doesn't block Google Drive.
what's that like? Well,
So,
I work at home, so I don't have that.
No, every single every website has to, by default, everything is blocked.
Oh,
And
nice.
if you want to access a website, you have to fill out a form and get it.
What is that annoying?
And it's a lockdown or USB ports.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
this is all of the cartridges that I bought over the COVID.
nice.
We're just taking up space and they should be here so everybody can have it. So I'm gonna just put them in the storage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as long as it's okay, John, it's great, I think.
So there's a 128 set, there's a 128 set. There's a 60, there's a multiple 60 set, and a bit 27.
Nice. Actually, that-
And even some retro rewind that probably did flopping. The head vibration protectors and given.
Nice, that's all I gotta say, nice.
Diagnostic harnesses and stuff.
Okay, that'll be fun. So we can at least start doing diagnostics next year. We definitely don't wanna do it at World of Commodore unless somebody steps up. Hint, hint.
Oh, you're still on the.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't turn on the speaker. If
Hey.
anybody wants to do diagnostics, you're welcome to.
Yeah, I don't know, it's gonna be a lot going on, but I think I might have a little table on this side, just with these set up and get them, need somebody to man the table. Woman to hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so an extra box of stuff with some diagnostic cartridges. Have you seen these? What the Frank made, like, they're modern reproductions of the dead test cartridge. The C64, so, and it'll also work with, also version will work with 128D.
Hey, Brian,
And we can still plug in for testing.
Yes,
do you have some spare cycle?
But I'd like to have these.
What?
Can you look at a cake?
This box over with the other cables. and stuff.
cake,
Yeah, from Zales or something like that?
Because it's literally.
and try to get something that, Commodore related.
Doesn't have to be Commodore related, it'd be nice if it is, but something like happy 40th birthday Commodore 64.
Could you, message me that privately, just kind of like the basic, wording for it? So then that'll also remind me to do it, and, yeah, I'll like, start, looking for that.
Give it to anyone, taking it all out.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't, well,
What I just get volunteered for?
well, if you leave it here, if you want to take this to World of Commodore, then this is saying someone having to make a trip out to church.
I mean, we can put it in my car, but I can't promise anything if it's going in my office.
But
It's my
can
fault.
I access to the building just for?
I've got a key in that, it's only something to get in, you know.
Yeah, too much craziness on my end, gang. It's my apologies. Way too much insanity. Why is my screen disappeared? Oh. Maybe that's why. Wait, now how do I do this again? Apologies. Way too much insanity. Why is my screen disappear? Oh. Come on. Are you guys seeing any of my video?
Yeah, I see a corner of the room.
Okay,
I see a foosball table, is that?
yes it is. Somebody was tossing that out, so they just picked it up. I'm like, oh, why couldn't I have been here for that? Here we go. Why is my laptop doing that? Please not before World of Commodore, not until January. I do not want to have to look for a new laptop.
Send you off to the movies for the.
I would. I'll go on the second.
Why does it do that? There we go.
Another car, another truck. I think we're talking about pick up little guys. No, just check.
There we go.
This meeting normally starts at 7:30 or 7.
Hey, Ben.
7:30.
Chris.
Yeah.
Hey. Hey, Brian, how you doing?
There we go.
Okay.
Doing very darn good. How about you?
And these.
Not bad.
Awesome.
Or we put this on YouTube.
Where are you going? The church?
Okay, I will let you know.
Oh, no, whatever you want to do. It's. yeah. Okay. So we just minimized my YouTube. I don't want to close it completely. Because I don't know if there's any weird stuff happens if I do.
Are you guys at the church?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was going on tonight.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess I should read an email or something.
Amazing how many people are not. I seem to, but
Hello.
we're doing hybrid from now on. Yannicka,
Nice. How you doing, Enia?
I'm good, buddy. Yourself?
Yo,
All right, thanks.
Is this the meeting of the foosball champions?
Totally.
Are we watching a foosball match live?
Clearly. Well, all we have to do is blow at our screens, and then the players will move.
But first it's the foosball assembly
Right.
show,
Exactly.
Said.
or it's foosball for young children.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll do
Yeah.
multiple.
I made it just in time for the halftime show.
Glad you make it. I haven't heard from you in a while lately, bud.
Yeah, thanks.
good?
Yeah, it's been crazy.
I know the feeling is. I've been replying to emails at work with Three Stooges pictures.
Nice.
Yeah, too many weird emails. I'm like, I can't deal with this shit no more. I just can't. There we go. Please. Color. Why do I not remember how to do this?
You can do this. I believe in you.
I'm glad somebody does, because I don't. Oh, but it's the
You know,
arrangement.
it shows what we're missing and you're over here.
This is true.
Yeah. And come to the church, we have football.
We've got a table, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Arrangement. Mirror displays, there it is, there it is, there it is. Why did my Mac just do that? Oh, please don't fall apart today, but just so late.
And we can go.
There we go.
Down the way, church, we found this on the side of the road.
It's brilliant. Which side am I? Oh, okay, so it's backwards to me. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Eh. Why is that not going? My goodness, it's like I'm using Windows suddenly. There we go. So we'll put this here. Well, I'll hold the chat here. Stu, yes. And Ben. And Dave. I'm not gonna be overly picky.
Did I hear my name being called?
Fortunately, yes. There we go. Oops.
Am I being voluntold?
Absolutely. It's the best way to get shit done. There we go.
Want to put it on gallery? Or this-
Oh, yeah, good idea.
Up to you.
No, I don't care. Whatever everybody prefers is fine with me.
Oh, you can Trevor. You can Trevor. Another Esperanto person.
Esperanto,
Yeah.
the language or the
Yeah.
BBS?
Oh, the language.
Oh, cool.
So you remember my friend Tiffany?
Yes.
Yeah, was super into Esperanto and.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Trevor and that Ken-
For a long time, she's been into that.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey Trevor, salut on.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You call it Esperanto. Actually, we did it. We Commodore a few years ago. It was me and
Oh, Dennis is here.
Now to figure out how I can stick a picture in there.
I've been trying to figure that out for a while.
Yeah, I'm using the app on my on my Linux box, but it seems even the app on my phone, I had trouble figuring that out.
Hi, Dennis, is that you?
I've got to manage the Discord channel as well in case. And I've got to remember to email out the Discord channel. Ugh. I'm gonna need a beer in a couple of weeks. Saturday night vodka first.
Is that Dennis Osborn? I don't know if his microphone's not working or something, or,
I'm still connecting his audio, so
Oh.
give him a I guess.
hey, is that Dennis Osborn?
Hello?
Hi, Dennis.
Yeah. Hey,
Hey,
I'm
Marcy.
sorry. Took me forever to figure this out.
No problem. It's the first time I know.
Now, who am I talking to?
Oh, it's Marcio here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right, cool. You made it. All right.
Ooh.
Glad you can make it, dude.
Oh, I'm trying. This is different for me. I'm sorry. It's been a long time since I've done these kind of things. I actually did a school online school one time,
Nice.
and yeah, it's still just as terrifying, but
Kind of get used to it. Just be yourself. You almost literally have a captive audience.
All right.
There you go.
You have got to convince nobody here. We're all already into this.
And nobody's in chains at all, really. There's nobody chained down.
Yeah,
We're pretty chill around here.
Okay. I didn't get any introduction. Did I miss that or?
No, I haven't read the introduction yet, but I'll do so shortly. So at one point you'll need to share your screen. Do you see the green icon below where it says share screen?
Yeah, yeah.
So when you do the demo, then so how does it work? And when he presses that, do you have to okay it before he shares the screen or?
yes, I do.
Okay, so we'll come to that.
Nico.
It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
I'm sorry, just a moment. Hey, co-host Marcia, where are you? Oh, yeah, co-host, thank you. And I must have the co-host.
Now, if I share the screen, am I going to be able to see everybody else's stuff or is it gonna, am I gonna be like flying blind here?
Everybody's screen. You do know you should be able to.
Well, I could do the emulator. There you go.
I'll test it out now. Yeah, probably could you test out now first and
Yep.
okay, we see it now. Yeah, cool. All right.
Okay. That makes it easier.
Well, it looks perfect. Yeah.
Remind everybody that this is being live streamed on YouTube and will be recorded on YouTube as well. So just so everybody knows.
Okay. So shall we begin?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm as ready as I'm going to be, which is not really fully ready, but hey, why not?
Well, you'll
Let's just
be
go
fine.
for it.
Okay, so hello everyone, it's Marcio here. Thank you to everyone who could join us for this month's TPUG meeting. Our special guest today is Dennis Osborn, who developed a new Commodore 64 product called Vision Basic. So what exactly is Vision Basic? Well, I like to think of it as a basic replacement rather than just a basic language extension. Not only does it give you over 100 new commands to work with, but it also gives you a fantastic new programming environment. To top it all off, every Vision Basic program is a compiled program. So the end result is blazingly fast, as Dennis will show you during his demo. Today's presentation will have three main segments. For the first segment, Dennis will spend a few minutes to talk about himself, his passion for the Commodore 64, and his history with developing Vision Basic. For the second segment, Dennis will give an in-depth demo that showcases the power of Vision Basic. The programmers in the audience tonight are going to love what they see. For the third and final segment, Dennis will answer some pre-selected questions that we've received from people around the web. Okay, so that's enough for me. So without further ado, I'd like to present Dennis Osborn. Dennis, take it away.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, sir. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Okay, where do I start? I don't even know where to start. I didn't prepare that part. Okay, so, I was a kid in the 80s. Got my parents bought a Commodore 64 and didn't have a disk drive. That was fun. But I immediately gravitated toward programming. I think I actually had some experience with programming prior. Yeah, I actually had programming in school on Commodore PET computers. My first actual experience with programming was watching somebody else program on an Atari 800. So that was actually my first, window into the world of computing. And, he was creating a like blackjack game in front of us, me and another friend. And, I was just thrilled. I was like, wow, this is like cool. You could tell it's like telling a person what to do. You could tell a computer what to do and it'll do it, So, he was creating blackjack and I don't think he ever really finished it. And then one day I'm at home, I'm writing up some code that I thought would work and I handed it to him and he's like, dude, this isn't going to work. So, but then in middle school, I got to work on some pet computers. They had a whole classroom full of them. And I just kept learning. And then finally, my parents did buy us a Commodore 64, and I just immediately was drawn to the programming part of it. And then my brothers were mostly into the games. So if I played games, it was stuff my brothers, had, but I wasn't really drawn much into the games because I pretty much suck at video games and still suck at video games. But I like creating them. So I don't know. What else? I think I'm going to go based on this list of questions that was given by Marcio. Help me out here. What was the setup of the first Commodore 64? Yeah, I pretty much plugged in my Commodore into the television set, and there was no desk or anything, so I was pretty much on the floor. No disk drive, just program games, and then they would crash, and then I'd have to reboot the computer, and there was nothing saved, so I'd have to start over. I would write them down on paper, write the programs down on paper if I wanted to type them in the next day. Kind of weird. I think my dad finally is like, okay, I think we need a disk drive. So yeah, after that, got us a disk drive, and then kind of just took off with the programming part. Now, even though I'm not very good at games, there were a few games that I really did enjoy. I'm not the kind that does very well with rapid response kind of stuff. So I did actually like Racing Destruction Set. I actually really enjoyed Mission Impossible, or is it Impossible Mission? Sorry. And then Starflight was actually one I really liked. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one. But a lot of these things were, they required some skill and stuff, but they weren't like some of the ones people, play that have like 10 million sprites going around the screen shooting at you and stuff. I just can't keep up with that kind of stuff. So, okay, did I do any bulletin board type stuff? No, actually did not. Did I go to any computer shows? Nope, sadly enough. I wasn't that enmeshed into the scene at the, whatever existed at the time. I don't think I was really aware of it. I was pretty much dependent on what my dad bought us, so we didn't have a modem or anything. So I just pretty much just programmed on the computer. Now, one thing I want to say about the Commodore to me is that I've always viewed the Commodore as, or actually viewed programming as my game. People like to play games. Well, for me, programming was the game because it was a puzzle to me that had to be solved. So that's why, that's to me, that's the game. And that's pretty much the game I still play today. So did I have friends who owned Commodores? Sure did, but can't really name them offhand. I did actually have one really good friend, and he passed away in October, and he had a Commodore, and actually that's what really got us to be friends. So I miss my friend, but can't do much about that. So what were some of my pet peeves about the Commodore? Basic, basic, slow, basic. I don't know. And it says, when did you first become interested in programming on the Commodore? Yeah, I meant like immediately. As a matter of fact, I used to go into the Sears stores and just type up little tiny programs. Of course, everybody who walked in there would type 10 print something, and you just see that go up the screen a million times. And then I'm like, let's do something more interesting than that. So, I try to do something with the short amount of time I had in the, like in Sears and different stores that had Commodores on display. How soon after learning BASIC did I start learning assembly language? I really don't know exactly when I started programming in machine language. I just knew I was very frustrated with BASIC. And unfortunately, even though I took up machine language, I really just, it's like a love-hate thing with it, because machine language is fast and great and all, but the coding in it is, I still really don't like to program in machine language. Yeah, there's a little chat thing going on here. Oh, okay, sorry. Any of those, like, anybody having audio problems, let me know. Okay.
Someone mentioned
Um,
audio trouble, so
huh?
someone had mentioned they were having audio trouble, so I just wanted to get an idea if anybody else was.
Okay. So anyways, yeah, machine language is, it's just one of those things. Like, I'm sure that there are people out there who just love it to death. You know, like your demo coders and all that. And I mean, machine language, I love its speed, but I really don't like it. But then as I kept programming, you know, I actually initially wrote Vision Basic in pure basic, actually. And then once I had the program completed, you know, I started the process of converting it over into machine language, because what I did was I took the basic program and then I loaded it into itself, you know, loaded Vision Basic into itself, and then did a line by line conversion of a lot of the code. And that's kind of how that came about. But now pure machine language, so I had to code machine language for that. And I mean, I did all right with it, but it's just funny because it's like, as much as I wanted to avoid machine language, I had to dive really deep into it. And it's like, I don't know. So, I mean, like, I'm really good at it, you know, I'm pretty good at it, but at the same time, I still don't like it. So, let's see. What specific books helped me to learn programming? I outlined those on my video, but you know, I pretty much started out with the typical book that everybody got, you know, the Programmer's Reference Guide. And then mapping the Commodore 64 was like really what helped out a lot. And actually a lot of the magazines, you know, Compute's Gazette, and there's actually another magazine I don't remember the name, but you know, I would actually go to the magazine racks and just sift through them, read them, and then finally, you know, if I liked what I saw, I would you know, ask. Well, back then I was still a kid, so I was like, Mom, can I have this? And they buy it for me, and then finally they got me a subscription to Compute's Gazette, and I learned a lot from that. And then finally, I made the jump to machine language and got Machine Language for Beginners. And you know, I still recommend those books to anybody who is wanting to learn, because I think pretty much everything that, I wouldn't say everything you need, but a lot of what you need is in those books. Okay. Another question on the list. Have you done any programming on a professional basis or strictly as a hobby? I never got into, I never took it big time. I think my dad wanted me to pursue programming, and that's why I think he bought the computer. But no, I was actually wanting to be a filmmaker, and that didn't really work out for me. But I also wanted to be a musician, and that didn't work out for me. So I think my deal with programming is that I enjoy it as a hobby, and I like being in full control of what I'm doing, and working for somebody else doing what they want me to do. It just doesn't resonate with me. So, I mean, you know, looking back, I'm like, well, I probably should have gone into that field, because right now I've been working retail most of my life. But still, it's just that when you have a passion for something and then somebody tells you what to do with that passion, it becomes very unpassionate. So, yeah. And I don't know how far we're into this. I don't want to take up too much time with this. What motivated me to create Vision Basic? Well, again, the slowness of the computer. You know, I really like BASIC a lot. I don't really like machine language, but you know, I've tried to marriage the two. You know, like I would write machine language routines. I would put them in data statements, or I'd load them in, and it's very clunky. It's a very clunky process to program in BASIC and machine language. You have to do SYS calls. Usually the results are just not that satisfactory. I got a hold of the Blitz compiler, and I was really impressed with that. But again, it wasn't really fast enough for me. my favorite thing is just making games, even though most of them are pretty rudimentary. They're very simple games, Pac-Man and that kind of stuff. But I really like making games, and with Blitz, it as fast as it can be, it's just still too slow. I also had experience with a magazine compiler called Sprint, and that actually was pretty good. I mean, it was really fast, but it was also very limited. So, I think it's just the over the course of a very, very long, many years of just like, okay, I'm frustrated with this. And then I got then I purchased a super CPU. And then I realized, well, I mean, I had already written some compilers and an assembler and all that, but the memory was lacking. I mean, you program, you create an editor, and then you try to write a program in it, and then you've only got so much memory. You don't have 38K or whatever the basic normally has. You have like a fraction of that. You might have 8K or 16K, and then whatever room that's left is where you would compile to. And so you really don't have enough room to create anything really big or impressive. So when the super CPU came out, it like had all that extra RAM, and then I also got a RU cartridge, and I'm like, well, I can put everything in the expanded RAM and just have Vision Basic sitting, or I didn't have it named back then, but I can have the main editor just sitting in basic RAM, and then all the program and stuff would be in the expanded RAM, and it would be limitless. So that's pretty much the start of Vision Basic. I mean, the idea for it, because everything that I created prior kind of taught me how to create a program like Vision Basic, but more simpler. But ultimately I just kept getting better and better at it, and then finally, voila, Vision Basic. So let me see if there's any more questions here. No. Okay, I'm just going to skip this. I guess I should remind me what I'm supposed to do next. I guess show off the editor, right?
Yeah, go ahead and show the editor in your
Oh,
demo.
will you have some time for live questions?
Okay.
I don't want to mess up the schedule.
Maybe closer to the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, live question here from here at TPUG headquarters. Can we change up the color scheme? It's a little hard to see with the green.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Actually, that's one of the things I put into the program. You type file, and then you go into the settings. Now, one of the things I tried to incorporate into Vision Basic is kind of like that Windows feel, where it's like easy to get around, because I'm sure like if you've used programs, Commodore programs historically, everything seemed like a little clunky and difficult to get around. But here I'm going to change the black. Oops, sorry. And I'll make the border. I just like one of this, and I'll keep the text light. And then you go back up, and then I'm not going to save the settings, but they'll stay. Exit out of here. Well, actually, if you guys want to see some of this, this screen here just shows you all the stats related to the program, and those will fill in with values. There are limits off. Can you guys see the mouse pointer, or is it not visible?
It's visible here.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, okay.
I see it.
So these are all kind of like maximums over here, and then these values will change after you compile something. So that's how that works, and it's just something to check, because one of the things that can happen easily, if you're writing a really huge program, you've got to pay attention to the top address of the program in memory, make sure it doesn't get above this point. And the variables actually follow after the program, so you definitely don't want them to exceed this point either. So that's why this page exists. And then banks are something, or is something, or I don't know. It's something you can do in Vision Basic where you can have programs in different banks, and you can actually, it can all be like one program. but you need to turn the banks on to use them. So I can do this and press space bar and go down and turn on each bank. Right now they're not the easiest thing to work with. My recommendation is, if people want to try to use them, is either turn them all on or turn them all off, and then, you know, save it as a setting and just leave it that way, because it's designed where you could turn them on and off if you want. Like, you can have code in one of them and then you could turn it off. Oops. Hold on. Go back up. You can like turn one off, and then if there's code in it, it won't be saved with the rest of the program. But anyways, what banks allow you to actually, and the neat thing about banks is that you can have the same line numbers. Like, you can have a line 10 in each bank, and it won't interfere with, you know, what's going on in the other banks. It'll still be one program, but the line numbers will, you can't call line 10 from one bank to the other. The idea with banks is you would call a routine with a label, instead of calling a line address. You know, if you're in one bank, say you're in this bank here, and you call, you want to call a routine in this bank, you would use the label of the routine. You would give it a label and you would call that. So it doesn't, you know, line numbers don't cross over into the different banks. One of the main reasons also to have banks is, like, you know, I like to create add-on packs so that people can have increased functionality. You know, like extra commands that don't exist in Vision Basic. They can just come down here and they can enter the bank, and then, you know, bank one, and then put the code for the add-on pack in that bank, and then, you know, it can have different line numbers and stuff, and it won't matter. Anyways, let's go on to details. This is different details for each bank. You can go in, change the bank, and then you can give it a different, well, actually that's the program name, that's the whole program name, but then you can go give that bank a title, you know, like if you have an add-on pack, oops, well, let's call it that. You can give it, you know, the author title, you know, you can give it, you know, put your own name there if you're the author, date/version, and then a description of what it does. And the description's, I think, limited to like 240 characters, so can't do too much there. Anyways, you go back here and you can see that the add-on, the title of it's down there in the list. And then back to this screen, you can change some settings, like the main program. One of the neat things about Vision Basic is that you can see that there's like a whopping 98K, or like 90, that should be about 96K of RAM for actually the program in the first bank. And then you can also set the size for how much RAM gets used in the other banks. And I don't want to go too much into all this, because I think you know, some of you may not really understand some of it, so it's like, okay, we'll just skip that. But I want to get back to, okay. What was I going to do? Okay, I need to attach a disk. My brain's not working because I'm in the spotlight. Okay. Yeah, I want to first show, if anybody watched the video, one of the videos, I'm just going to show you some of the bitmap stuff real quick. Hold on. Line art full. Okay, so actually you could just type dir for directory. Sorry, should have done it that way. Okay. Oops. I think I have my the joystick thing set up here. Yeah. Okay. Turn off joystick mode for now. It causes issues. Now, one thing that's kind of important to notice here is that when you load programs in Vision Basic, they end in the VIS extension. If a program does not have the VIS extension, it'll assume that it's a basic program and will do an import, because the format, there's a substantial format difference between regular basic programs and Vision Basic programs. And what I did was I just, the regular basic format, I just don't, it just doesn't make sense to me, like the each line points to the next line, and I just thought, well, that's kind of dumb. So I created my own formatting for it. So if you try to load a Vision Basic source file in regular basic, you won't be able to list it. I mean, there's a lot of differences anyways, but it's padded with zeros at the beginning of the file. So when you try to load it, it just won't display anything. Actually, I'm in the wrong bank, so I'm going to just want to get my banks back to normal. I made bank 5 the the primary bank. That's why it has a plus sign on it. So I don't want that. And I'm going to turn these. Wait. When I make videos, I get to delete the goof up. So I apologize there. Okay. Let's do this over. And actually, to clear all of the banks, you could just do 0 through 9. There you go. Cleared all of them. And we're going to try again. Wait. I need to do one more thing. Turn this bank on. Now, one of the things that I had a lot of inspiration from, I actually used to have a Simon's Basic cartridge. So a lot of my inspiration, for Vision Basic came from using that cartridge. Now, the problem with Simon's Basic is it's still basic, it's still slow. If you can compile Simon's Basic code with Blitz, but the issue with that is that if you wanted to give a program to a friend, they would also have to have the Simon's Basic cartridge. So the neat thing about Vision Basic is that I could type anything, it requires an RU or super CPU expanded memory. But when you type a program in Vision Basic and you compile it out, it does not require the RU to function. I mean, unless you write a program that is specifically utilizing the RU. So, and this is it shows now Vision Basic can take a few passes to do a program. It basically has to when it compiles a program, it has to duplicate that what it spits out has to be duplicated twice. What happens is as it compiles the first time and then the second time and so forth, it's making little tiny changes in the program, and a lot of it has to do with jumping, jump commands like go-tos and things like that. It has to have 2 passes where the program is identical, and then it'll stop. And one of the things I want to do in a future version of Vision Basic is I think I can speed up the compiling process more, because if you're making a really huge program in Vision Basic, it could take minutes to compile. If you have an accelerator or if you have Vice, you can accelerate, but if you have a stock Commodore with an RU, it's going to be kind of slow. So anyways, okay, this is just essentially just regular basic, bitmap stuff. This part of the demo shows that you can display all 16 colors at the same time on the screen. All you have to do is just tell Vision Basic to change the colors, each time you draw something, and it'll change them. Now, one of the things that's important to note is that, like in this first one here, it was probably faster. Should have been faster to draw. But when you change the colors, it will actually plot color information into the color screen. At the same time, it draws a pixel, so it will slow down a little bit. But you can, and also you got to be careful about overlapping, because if you start overlapping lines from here over into here, the background color pixels will be changed, or background color squares. So you pretty much, I mean, this is just the way the Commodore is designed. You can't just like display all 16 colors right next to each other, anywhere you want. But you can display 16 colors if you program it right. And I kind of got this idea from Simon's Basic. Their bitmap drawing commands pretty much allowed you to do the same thing. So I'm like, well, I might as well add that. So anyways, that's what this part shows. And oops, that's a different key. I haven't done this demo in a while. Now this shows you the speed of drawing lines in general. I think it's relatively fast. I mean, if I could find a faster routine, I'll use it. But one of the most important things with drawing lines is that you have to make sure that you specify a starting point and an ending point. And when it draws from one end to the other, it needs to end up on an exact pixel. So I think some routines probably don't do that. So if I'm going to go with if I could find a faster routine, it's going to have to connect your starting and ending points precisely. But anyways, one of the things that I wanted to do with Vision Basic is provide some faster line drawing commands. So if you draw vertical lines, it's a lot faster. And then if you draw horizontal lines, it's even faster than that. So now, one of the neat things that I also incorporated into it is, see the pattern fills. This could be done only with the horizontal lines, because that's just the easiest way to implement it. Now, if I had incorporated pattern designs with diagonal lines and things like that, it would dramatically slow down the drawing process. But with horizontal lines, it's very quick, and it allows you to draw solid objects with gradients and stuff. And in this demo here, I have changed the colors. Some of them I've changed them on the fly. Like it'll draw a section, maybe a couple sections, and then I'll change the patterns, because there's only 8 of them total. And you can change the patterns and then continue further down. And so that's how I achieved the gradient effect. And then this is I couldn't choose between this pattern and this pattern. Oops. Okay. Well, that's weird. Not supposed to do that.
Always.
It's not supposed to change colors. I know why it's changing colors, but it's not supposed to do that. I haven't, like I said, I haven't used this program in a while. So I'm like, okay, how do I use it again? This is just a demo anyways, but what this, okay, I'm gonna have to restart my demo. Don't you just love goof ups? Okay. Some of you might find the goof ups more entertaining than the material. Okay. Got to put a joystick on for that part of the demo. I was going to go through, go back. Okay. Vertical lines, horizontal. This is where I goofed up. I better not backtrack. Let me go forward. All right, there. Okay. Now this is just meant to show how fast horizontal lines can be. You can actually this is a bitmap animation. You can do animated, if it's small enough, you can get pretty good results with the speed. And one of the things that's kind of cool is if you have an attached REU, you can use the REU to clear the screen, and then it moves even faster. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but if I go back to slow, let's do slow again. It's a little more choppy. Then go back to fast again. the REU can be used to clear a bitmap screen in like a fraction of the time. Okay, and then another, let's see. This is what you see here is just one of the bit patterns, you know, for filling. And then here's another, wait, sorry. Okay, oops. I'm screwing up left and right. See, in a video, I can just take this stuff out. And I'm gonna put it in warp mode here. So that's warp mode. Vision Basic is not that fast. I mean, I wish, but it's not. Okay, I'm going to turn the joystick thing off. Okay. Here. Oops. Give you a false impression of the speed of Vision Basic. That's the actual normal speed. This was pre-calculated to make it faster, but this shows that, you know, with some basically how fast you can draw in Vision Basic with, you know, a little pre-planning and stuff. And again, if you use the REU to clear the screen, you can get, see, you can, I don't know if you see the difference, but you can, that's a little faster there. So I don't know if anybody wants to do like wireframe stuff, you can get some pretty decent results if you program it properly. And let's go on to the last part here. Now this is, this just shows that Vision Basic has commands for interrupts. Now, interrupts still need to be programmed in machine language, but this is 64 sprites, and it's showing that you can have set up a routine. I'm not saying this is easy, but it's definitely a lot easier, you know, because there are interrupt commands in Vision Basic that will help set it up, and all you have to do is supply the appropriate code. And as you can see, it's like trying to draw bitmap in the background at the same time as displaying 64. I think that's 64 sprites. So anyways, and that's it for that demo. Okay. Now that's not the demo I really planned to show you all. Am I going into overtime, Marcia?
No, you're fine. I mean, I don't think anyone else had anything planned really.
Okay.
So I think you're fine.
I'll hog the show. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'll
please.
just-
Thank you.
There's no overtime at TPUG.
I kind of want to play
Alright.
with it after in a couple of weeks when I get some free time.
You what?
I definitely want to play with this in a couple of weeks when I get some free time to breathe.
For
Okay,
sure.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm stoked to find out where I can get. I can try it out. Where I can get it from.
Visionbasic.net if you want to go over there in the meantime as well. Visionbasic.net.
Beauty, thank you.
Now it's not freeware. A lot of people want me to make it freeware, but
Mhm.
if I were to do this completely for free, I mean it's stressful enough as it is to keep track of
Yeah.
all this stuff.
No
And
kidding.
I'm just like, you know, I gotta make something.
Yeah, for sure.
I really don't make, I mean, there are times I make $0 on a sale, but I make probably, you know, I can make $5, $10, $20. It depends on the situation. I'm essentially giving away my t-shirts right now. Oh, what happened there? That's not me, is it? What happened there?
Some kind of feedback or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, my clone logged me.
Okay. Oh, let's see. Where is it? Where is it? My brain is not functioning right now. Okay, here it is. Yeah. Let's see. I want to show what my a little bit of progress on my game. Oops, not name. New. I was going to say something about Vision Basic. Oh, I do want to say that I'm going to do like a promotional thing for Black Friday. So I'm going to make my cheapest package even cheaper than even previous sales. So if anybody is really cash strapped, I mean, it'll be a decent sale. I mean, it's not going to be a $20 deal. I'm not going to go that low. I won't. my publisher has, increased the rates. So I don't know if I'll make money on that or not. So, but I do want to make it available cheaper for some people who are hesitant to plunk down the larger sum. What a lot of people don't realize is how much expense goes into every part of the regular package. I mean, like I said, I'm pretty much giving the t-shirts away at this point. The books cost a pretty penny. I mean, unless you're willing to spend unless you're willing to buy 1,000, and I wasn't sure I could even sell 1,000, and I didn't really have like $10,000 laying around. Actually, I don't think it would cost that much, but still, I've been buying them in lots of 100, and when you add the books plus the boxes plus discs plus thumb drives plus packaging and tape and bubble wrap and web fees and all that stuff, it's you look at the price and it's like sticker shock, but really my cut in it is not huge. So I don't know why I'm typing this.
Kidding.
Okay. Let's do directory again. Okay. Now I am working on my next video, but I'm not going to show you guys any of what's going to be on the next video, except for one thing here, because, if I show it to y'all, then the video will be kind of like, I've seen it already. But I do want to show you a little bit of progress. Let's see. Load. And I was working on this game. I'm trying to show people how to do smooth scrolling. So, and I'm going to speed this up. Okay. Yeah, if it ever looks like it's going like super fast, it's because I'm using warp mode on Vice, which is one, if you're using Vision Basic on Vice, you get the benefit of warp mode. Because if you're like waiting for something to compile or something like that, it's like just warp it and it's loaded and compiled and whatever. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen this video or not. This is what most people already saw. And there are no enemies yet, at least in this version here. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I got to turn the joystick on. I hate that. I'm going to try using the number pad this time. Okay. And my lasers. Where are my laser? Okay, there.
Oh, cool.
Pew pew. Okay. Now these mines are. I don't want to like reiterate what I've already done, but the mines, they're just there to like bump into. See, explosion. I don't know if there's any lagginess to this or not.
Killing COVID for the vaccine.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I could call this COVID invaders or something. I don't know.
Nice.
That's an awesome name.
Anyways, I think for the next video, I'm doing I think I'm doing blue lasers because I'm going to make the enemy lasers and then blue for the good guy. And so this is what everybody saw in the previous video. And then I had one person comment. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, sir.
Well, I had one person comment and say that I was using a lot of machine language or stuff that didn't look like basic. Now I just typed in the lister command. One of the neat things that I put in Vision Basic is that you can actually scroll through the listing. Now it's a little slow because it draws it each time. Every time it draws a full screen each time and then transfers it to the visible screen. So it's a little slow, but you can actually go forward by 10, I think 12 lines at a time. And that's a lot quicker. But there are some things that are unavoidable when it comes to machine language. And a lot of these commands here, like mob and mob clear and all that, are those are Vision Basic commands, but there are, like down here, we got some machine language, LDA, CMP, and all that. And that is important because, I don't have a command in Vision Basic for, waiting for a raster line to get to a certain point. Now, based on this experience, I'm like, well, okay, in a future version, I'll probably put, that make a command for that. But right now it doesn't exist. And anybody who watches my videos, that, you could say, oh, well, that's machine language. But I mean, all you have to do is just copy it. It's just like when I'm working on my website, I may not know how cascading style sheets fully works, but I can copy some code and use it, So it's generally the same thing. And I really think that anybody who, wants to use Vision Basic should try to learn some simple machine language, because you'll just benefit from it. And the neat thing about Vision Basic is that you can type machine language pretty much anywhere in the program. You just need to have an opening bracket, and you can supply an ending bracket over here if you want, but you can put it pretty much anywhere. The only thing is that you got to be careful not to, you can't assume that, put a value in the accumulator and then use a Vision Basic command and expect that the accumulator will still hold that value. That's not the case, but you can do stuff like this with no problem. And this actually is a let command, and it actually, you can actually set pointers to equal values. In this case, it's treating the border color as a pointer, and this less than sign actually only forces it to only set the lower byte. I'm probably losing some people here, but the point is this changes the color of the screen. And it does it a lot more quickly than using any other commands. I mean, Vision Basic has like a lot of different commands and a lot of different ways of doing things. So you can use the screen color commands, but this gets converted into pure machine language here. So it's really fast. So you just said, let the border color equal 5, which is green. And that's pretty much what it says.
Can I interject with a couple of questions, if I may?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I'm in love. I'm so getting this. So you can embed machine language within your code if you really wanted to. You can write entire routines.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Can I push this? Can I push the registers onto a stack and then call them out like when I call it machine language, as though I'm calling it as a subroutine?
Wait, say that again.
So can I, before I call the machine language routine,
Yeah.
push the registers onto a stack like as though I was making like I'm calling a subroutine? I'm sorry, I'm not clear about the font.
Like a pop and push,
Yeah,
or push and pop, sorry.
yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, you can use the PHA and PLA commands. I mean, I don't know if that answers the question.
Close enough, I think.
I'm not very, there are some things I'm not very good at lingo when it comes to this kind of stuff,
No, you're doing
Some people
fine.
talk over my head, and I probably talk over other people's
Were you
heads.
were you thinking of along the lines of saving the state of the registers and using them again later?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's easy to do. Yeah, I mean, you could do that anywhere.
Okay.
I don't think it's really necessary. I mean, you might find a reason to do that, but whenever I use machine language, I'll just type, usually the code will do what I need it to do and then be done with it, but surely, yes, you should be able to push, the accumulator and all that. One of the things that's important to note is that each command, what happens is the way Vision Basic works is like, let's just say the mob clear or mob command. Okay. Now this is kind of insider stuff if you're interested. Essentially this command, it gets converted into a JSR call to the routine. And then this data here is put in right after the JSR. And when it calls the mob routine, which is for sprites, it will pull the JSR call off of the stack. I guess that's how I think it's correct. And store it in in I think locations 3 and 4. And then use that as a pointer to gather the parameters And then when the routine is done, it'll push, you know, the very end location back on the stack to and then issue a return. And that way it'll return at this point here. So, you know, JSR, read, pushes the, you know, the current location on the stack, and then when it returns, it'll return at this point here. And then it'll call, and then it'll do another JSR call for this command, and so forth. And that's how it's set up. It's not like, I guess some people call it P code or whatever like that. It's not, I don't think that's, I wouldn't say that's the same. I would think, I think P code would be more flexible and save memory, but at the same time, it might be a little slower. And also using, see, I don't know if you're familiar with the term P code, and I barely even know what it means, but it wouldn't allow for the versatility in Vision Basic. Like, you know, I can put a little label here somewhere between these two commands, and I can, you know, call it from over here. I could be like, okay, go to this label, and I could shove it right here. And it's very flexible. I mean, this way, if I did something like, I guess, P code or whatever like that, I think it would be a little more trouble. It would be like, it'd be hard to do the flexibility. But now, one of the things I want to point out about this program, I don't want to spend too much on this one. I'm going in way over time, aren't I?
There's no time limit, so go nuts. I booked a Zoom room until 11:30 Eastern Standard.
Okay. I gotta eat dinner though, but it's all right. I'm good. Anyway, there are various routines. This is a procedure. I'm just showing you some of it. I'm just explaining some of it. My videos explain a lot of this stuff. You can, it's a procedure. It's called player laser, and then essentially you can call it anywhere in the program. You don't even have to type call or anything like that. You just see right here, player laser. This will call this routine. Just type player laser, and that's it. And it'll call this whole routine. And it's really that simple. I didn't add a call command or anything like that. I think some basics have that, but I tried to take the best from a lot of different things that, you know, about basic. And I was like, well, do I want this? Do I want that? You know, and I just, you know, fiddled around and figured out what I wanted Vision Basic to be like. One of the things that you'll notice here is, like, it says add and sub. These are add and subtract. These are faster versions of than if you took them away. You know, if you just had LX equals LX plus LXP, it's going, huh?
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you know, if you don't have the add, it's going to be slower. Add is like add and sub and comp. These are special fast commands that give you machine language speeds where you need it. So that's why I provided those, because realistically, the one thing that people need to understand about higher level languages is that the Commodore is only so fast, and the more, you know, the higher the level you go, the slower the language typically. So this, you know, Vision Basic tries to be as fast as it possibly could be, but you know, there's just only so fast you can go. And machine language is, you know, ultimately the king of speed. And what these commands do is they do a direct conversion. Whereas if you type let me see if I can give an example here. Like if you just say
You're doing a more efficient interpretation than the regular Basic is doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's more efficient no matter what. But like if I just say A equals 1 plus 1, here, and I run it now, Vision Basic doesn't run like regular Basic. It'll compile this too, and there's nothing to show because I didn't tell it to print it. Let me do that. But what happens in this case is, the value 1 goes into an accumulator in 0 page, and then this other one goes into another accumulator, and Basic does this, regular Basic, and then it adds the two values together and then puts the results in A. And the flexibility afforded here it is slower. So it's great to have that flexibility, because anything could be up here. This could be a variable, it could be an array, it could be anything can, there are some limitations to what can follow, but there's some flexibility here. And so accumulators are necessary, and that just slows everything down. So if I wanted to make it faster, you just do add and then A equals 1 + 1, and you won't really notice it, but it executes at machine language speed. And so there are points in your program where you're like, well, it's just not fast enough, so that's why I put these commands in there. Anyways, let me
Is it all right if I throw out a few questions?
sure.
So this environment we're looking at, I noticed at the first screen, basically, is this a replacement of the kernel?
Well, it's just a huge program.
But I mean, when you turn on, like, you're running it in Vice now, but I mean, did you load this in, or did you run it as
I
if
loaded
it was
it
a
in.
cartridge? All right, so you
No.
go into a normal Commodore and then you load this.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I was under the impression it was more like a kernel replacement where theoretically you could put it on a ROM and run it on hardware as an alternative kernel. Is that possible, or is that not how it works?
Well, I'm not very well versed in all that stuff. I have had people say, could you put it on a cartridge? I don't know at this point. I know that Vision Basic is I think 42K in size.
It's written in machine language though?
Well, it's written in its own language. It's written in Vision Basic, and a lot of the code has been directly converted to machine language.
Okay.
So you just load Vision Basic and you run it like a regular program. And a lot of people have, I try to get this information out, but a lot of people will try to use the fast loader that I put on the disk, and it only works in NTSC mode, and only with an accurate 1541 drive. I think I can get it to work in Vice, but the point is that the fast loader is really more or less meant for real disk drives, and unfortunately I don't have a PAL version.
Where are you physically located?
In smack dab in the middle of the country, in the United States.
How far away is Jersey from you?
Jersey? Well, I'm near Memphis, so.
Okay. Reason I'm asking is, would you be interested in coming to Vintage Computer Festival in April and doing a talk on this?
Well, I'd like to do a lot of things. Being that I work a retail job right now, it's kind of difficult to get time off. So it's something I'd have to, find a way to work out. And
just something to think about. Yeah. It looks like something we'd really enjoy. I live in Pennsylvania, and I'm with the Vintage Computer Federation. We have a little museum in Wall Township, New Jersey, and we have Vintage Computer Festival East every spring. And a talk about this at our event, either a talk to teach about it or just an exhibit table where you just want to show people walking around. Either one would be would fit in real well at the event. It'd be really cool.
Okay. Well, I don't. It's something I've been wanting to do, but I think I need to warm up to these things. Like just even doing this meeting right now, it's like I started this I launched this back in May, so it's kind of like it's not like super fast going, but it's keeping me super busy. So
it looks like a really complex project. I can't imagine the work you put into it. It's really something.
Well, it took I think a cumulative 10 years, but that's part-time. Me like doing it in my spare time. And I started this in 1997, I think, and I got a super CPU and I started working on it, and then worked on it for maybe a few years, and then I just I had a son that I needed to raise, so I just was like, well, I kind of lost interest in a while because I'm like, I don't have time to do this. And I think I was trying to get into web design at the time. And so I just had to put it on hold for a while. And then, my son kind of became a teenager and I'm like, okay, I got some time again. And I kind of took it up again because I need to exercise my brain. So that's why I did it. But everything is done in spare time. I mean, I actually do use pretty much every bit of my spare time on this stuff. I mean, except time when I spend with my wife watching television, that's about it. It's like, this is what I focus on. And right now it's mostly videos, but I need to get, I still got more to do. So let's keep it rolling. I think I'm going to show let's see. I'm going to show you now this is one thing I'm going to show ahead of my next video. Okay, let's see, replace. Okay. Yeah, one of the neat things about, well, I keep saying neat, I'm like promoting myself here, like it's neat. I still think it's neat, even if I made it, it's like, all right, it's still neat. Compared to regular basic, you can merge programs. Say like here it says merge. You can actually, well, it's more of an appending. It'll load one program at the back of another one. And the only issue with that might be line number differences. If you have line numbers that are lower than what precedes, it's not going to blend them in. It's going to actually put those lower line numbers, past the higher ones. So you don't want to do that. But anyways, so the merge thing, the appending, whatever, it's kind of a neat thing because you can, add some code to another code, other code, but you definitely want to make sure the line numbers don't conflict. Anyways, I replaced. Okay, let me go ahead and run. And we're going to warp it and load. Well, set not to load files. Oops, I'm hitting my laptop. Okay. Now this one should be different. Okay. Now originally, the border, you guys can see the border flashing, right?
Yep.
Okay, well that's in my other video. This is just showing me information on how long it takes certain things to be accomplished. So I don't really want to spend too much. I don't really want to talk about that in this video. It's explained in my previous video, but it's a tool I use to kind of tell, do I have enough time in one screen refresh to accomplish, what I'm trying to accomplish. And Vision Basic being fast and all, it still is not as fast as machine language. So you do need to, if you're trying to maintain that smoothness and all that, you need to know what's going on. So this bluish area at the top here, if I could pause it, this blue area here is basically what's going on, all the ship movements, anything related to the ship being moved. And then in a future video, I have another stripe of color added for enemies and stuff, but I'm going to save that for my next video. But what I did what the difference in this video versus the previous video saw is that originally the ship was in the middle, but I didn't like that idea because you can't, it doesn't give you much vision ahead of time to see if there's an enemy approaching. So I'm like, well, I want to push the ship back a little bit. So what I do is I have it rotate around the central point. And so, oops. Okay, just don't run into objects. And I also had to change the way the joystick functions, even though I'm using keys, but I had to actually reverse it because it felt very unnatural. The movement felt very unnatural the way I had it. But anyways, so yeah, I just thought this would be kind of a cool effect. Plus it gives you, you can see that it gives you more viewing range ahead. And so you got plenty of room to see what's coming at you. So anyways, as opposed to being in the center of the screen. So anyways, that's kind of a preview of what's going to be in my next video. Or
That's great. That looks great.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Now my thing about games is I'm a very simple person. I think there are people out there who want to make like video games with like, 1,000 sprites everywhere. And I just, I'm very simple-minded. I could probably do those kind of things, but for me, there's just, a joy in the simplicity. Sometimes I try to push the limits, but really I just want to make a game that I find fun. And this is more or less just for demo purposes anyways, but really what I wanted to show people is that, yes, you can do smooth scrolling in Vision Basic. I mean, I provide the routine, which is actually full machine language or mostly machine language, but that's the neat thing is because I could provide the person the add-on and they can load it in and they could call the routine and they don't have to know a lick of machine language to get it to work. And it's also versatile because like a lot of times, in the past, programs, you would load a machine language routine that somebody else created, and then it would be very limited. It'd be like, okay, this routine must execute at location 49152. And so you can't put anything else there. But in the case of Vision Basic, you make it part of your program and it will exist wherever it ends up. It's the routine, so it's very flexible as far as location. So the person can load it. I'm not moving the ship because I'm talking exploding left and right. But anyways, it's that kind of versatility is, I think a plus. Because in the old days, like I said, you would find a program in a magazine and you type it in and or some kind of helpful aid, and then you type it in, but you were forced to have it where it is. It couldn't be moved around. So, all right, let me go. Actually, I did create. Dang, I'm sure hogging this thing. Okay, I'm sitting here thinking. I was like, I'm gonna run out of stuff in 30 minutes. Okay. Okay, what I wanted to show you guys, what I created this specifically for the video or for this meeting. And I'll explain why I did it, but what this program, wait, I actually have to load a program. Right. You can't load a directory the regular way, type dir. Okay, let's see. Make sure the memory's clear. Okay, balance 7. Okay. Okay, I'll explain why I created this program, but I'm going to explain what it starts to do, and then hopefully you'll be impressed, and then I'll explain after the fact what it does. Initially, what this program is going to do is draw a ball that appears three-dimensional. It's going to have a gradient fill using those fill patterns that I showed you at the beginning. And then after it's done drawing the ball, it uses I had to use a mask of sorts to trim off some of the outside, because in the process of drawing the ball, there's some pixels that go outside the ball. Don't worry about that. But I created a mask that gets stored to memory, and then I use that mask to extract some of that overlap. You'll see. And then ultimately this is all done on bitmap, and then ultimately what it does is it transfers the bitmap image over to sprite data. And then after that, you'll see what happens. I think it does 5 passes. Let's see. Okay, so it's drawing the ball. And there you go.
Nice.
And this demo is just this. I don't know if it's coming across as like super smooth or not.
Decent.
But this demo, and then it has color changing after a while. This demo is just meant to show you that this can be done in Vision Basic. It's not saying that a beginner is going to be able to do it, but my goal with this is to mostly use the basic commands to show that it can be done, that there is enough speed in some of the non-machine language commands to do this. Now, there is a little bit of machine language, but I'll show you where that is. But anyways, I just, I go into these kind of things. I'm like, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if this is possible, but I'm going to try it. And that's what I did for this demonstration for y'all. So,
Nice. Very
so
cool.
I will try to make it available at some point. I have to put it on, make it a download or something. I could make an executable, but here, I'm going to quit and show you.
I have another question for you.
Go ahead.
Are you able to redefine the character set, kind of use that as a scrolling background, and also have like sprite to character set collisions?
Wait, say again. I think you're saying like a few different things that you
Are you able to redefine the character set and like use that as like tiles, and then also make that as like your scrolling background or part of the what's scrolling, and then have sprite to character set collision?
Well, yeah, that's what I did in my previous demonstration with the video game thing.
Okay, cool. It's not just like sprites, there's also like a character set in there as well.
Yeah, the actually the mines in that game that you saw, those little round COVID looking things, were actually characters.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Vision Basic is it's fast, but it's not. The more sprites you start to put into the picture, the more you're probably going to have to lean a little more on machine language, actually, because as fast as the commands are, if you're going to try to make everything smooth and perfect and all that, you're going to have to rely on the fastest things available. So despite how fast I could make Vision Basic, it's just not going to be fast enough to try to intelligently move a bunch of sprites around in 1/60th of a second. It's, if you're trying to measure collisions with background data or other sprites and interactions, and having ships move here and there and everywhere like that, you're going to have to use tricks. Now I think with the game, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to have in 1/60th of a second, I'm going to control the good guy and the bad guys, but only one bad guy at a time is going to get like, have a moment where it's directed. And what you do with that is that you can give each sprite a turn to become intelligently moved. So for 1/60th of a second, I'll focus on one of the bad guys. I'm going to have up to 3 of them. You focus on, one of them, and you say, okay, let's steer you where you need to go. And then after that 60th of a second is up and it's time, you'll focus on the next enemy. And at the same time, you can move all the ships. You just can't intelligently move them all. You just assign, give them some pre-direction. You can just say, okay, this guy is going to continue to move on this directory while we worry about this guy over here. And that's pretty much how, if you're going to use Vision Basic to make games, and you want to avoid a bunch of machine language, you're going to have to think like that. You're going to have to find creative ways to solve certain problems, because it's just really not fast enough. I mean, like I said, I try to make this thing as fast as I can make it, and there's just, because of the versatility of the commands and how they operate, there's only so much speed you can get out of them. But I was going to show how I accomplished this. See what you were seeing in the demo was the equivalent of, let's see, 20 sprites. It took 8 sprites and it just moved them down as the raster line, to stay ahead of the raster line and give the impression of 20 sprites, even though there are only 8, and I think most people are familiar with this, but some people are not. So but I don't know, anyways. But I'm going to try to explain how it happens in this program. These commands here, these are the mob commands, all relate to sprites. I chose mob, it was mob commands were used in Simon's Basic. And I just really, when I was coming up with names, I don't really like mob, but I also don't like SBR, like, for sprite. And so it's just picking the lesser of two evils. So I was like, okay, I'll just go with mob. At least it's, readable, mob call, I didn't like spur call, it just not as readable. So but if I had a choice, I mean, you could go like full on use the word sprite, but then you get 2 extra characters. And I don't think most people like that either. So, but anyways, go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Oh,
Thank you.
I will say one of the downsides of Vision Basic is that you can't use your shift characters to, you can't type L Shift O for load, because essentially I've recreated the editor, and therefore that capability is not part of my editor. This, all of what you see here when I'm moving, if I move the cursor around and all that, this is basic in control. It's a routine in basic, but after you press return, Vision Basic takes over and it uses its own routines. So, but anyways, these commands all set up the sprites. You've got your sprite numbers. You have, I think this one is turn them on. I actually have to reference my own manual, by the way, so a lot of times to do this stuff because, my brain is aging. I can't remember everything, but I think this is turn it on, multicolor. I think these are X and Y. Well, there's 3 columns here. There's X and Y somewhere in here. And then these are actually additives values. These get added to your X and Y coordinates so that you can kind of make like this upper corner. You can make this your starting point for your sprite. So if you put like 24 right here, horizontally, instead of your sprite being in this border area here, it'll start here. That's what these are for. This kind of gives you some, makes it easier to shift your sprites around. And then you don't have to set up your variable to be like, okay, well, add this and all that. This is automatically added to the X position, and this is automatically added to the Y position once you set it. And then these are the colors. Okay, and I don't want to explain too much here. I want to get to the meat of it. And let's see. This is draw ball is the routine that actually draws on screen. That's further down. I just set all this up to kind of create a seamless, and I don't want to explain it, but it seamlessly allows the transition between bitmap and displaying the sprites so that you don't see a flicker. And so I don't want to take too long. Let's see. But we have the ball's X and Y coordinates. We have the direction for X. Actually, this is an additive, so the ball moves 3 units at a time, actually 3 pixels at a time horizontally. You have, instead of, a lot of people would think that you might, for a ball bounce, you would want to use sine and cosine, but I actually took an animation course, and cosine, using sine and cosine does not create a true arc for a ball bounce. What it does is it creates what's kind of known as a floaty kind of ball. The ball will appear to be suspended, at the peak a little too long, so we act more like a beach ball. So what I use here is, and this is actually faster, believe it or not, is acceleration and speed. You have your base speed of 0, and then you add your acceleration to your speed repeatedly as the ball descends. So just for those who know what that is, there you go. If you took your, if you remember physics and all that. Count relates to how many times the ball hits the wall. I have it like hit the wall, like the outside walls, like I think about 10 times before it starts to change colors. This is the main ball bounce routine. I let X equal ball X, Y equal ball Y, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to destroy, the values in ball X and ball Y. So I'm going to transfer them over to these variables so that they can be manipulated and to whatever they need to be. So in this case, mostly your Y coordinate gets affected. Here we, at machine language speed, we're halving the value. I think it's like dividing, like it's the equivalent of dividing by 64. I explained this in my most recent video that in this case, your Y value here is 64 times greater than what it should be. And this allows you to give the impression of using decimal numbers, even though decimal numbers are not used. What we do with the Y coordinate here is we inflate it by 64 times, and then we add stuff to it. And then when we want to display the sprite, we just divide by 64, and then we plug it into the sprite coordinate. And that's all explained in my video. The thing about Vision Basic is that you want to avoid decimal numbers where possible, because those calculations are even more CPU intensive. If you can get by with integers, using integers, please do, because it's significantly faster, and you can use commands like half, which are machine language, machine language speed anyways. They basically divide the values in half, and it's a lot quicker. Now here's where I set up my raster line. It's equal to the Y coordinate of the ball, and I found that I had to kind of just play around with the numbers. I'm not going to explain, there's not really much sense to it. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to put a value in here and see what happens. And voila, 82 seemed like the perfect number. And let's see. For the top two sprite rows, I use the mob commands because the speed does not really matter. When it comes, mob commands are actually, they take up a good amount of time. You can't actually use these commands to, when you're shifting the sprites from up here, say the ball is right here, and you're trying to draw the, you're trying to move the sprites down. You don't want to use these commands because they're too slow. Your ball will just flicker like crazy. They're not going to be fast enough to move 4 sprites at a time, because you got with the ball you got 4 sprites on the top, then another 4 sprites, the next 4 sprites, and then 4 sprites that were copied down, and then 4 sprites from the second layer. And I don't know, people who are familiar with trying to do this thing will understand what I'm talking about. But these commands are just really too slow. But initially, you can move the starting point of the first couple rows of sprites at any, you could use these commands, because what I do is, instead of moving, setting these coordinates while the ball is, setting them while it's displaying up here, I actually move the coordinates while the raster line is further down the screen, if that makes sense. I'm going to have to make a better explanation if I'm going to put this in a video for y'all, but I apologize if it's confusing. But anyways, what I did though, okay, so I use the mob commands for the first 2 rows of sprites. You have 4 sprites and then 4 sprites, and then you need to move the sprites down so that it gives the illusion of more sprites. So instead of using the slower mob commands, I just directly impacted the registers using the let command. So we're just poking the registers directly, but we're using let. So you could call this basic, you can call it not basic, but to me, it's using the let command so you can view it how you want to view it. But this gets converted to pure machine language, which is fast enough to accomplish the task that we need. And we also changed the shapes part of the way down too, so that we can display, so that you can see the rest of the shapes, because there are 20 shapes that comprise the ball. So there's just enough time to do it. And then, so we have row 1 row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5. And I guess that's the easiest way to visually do it. Explain it. This is actually just a delay loop, because I need a tiny little delay so that there's no flickering. And again, people who are familiar with, moving stuff around with the raster line and all that will understand. It's hard to explain to somebody who doesn't know. But anyways, this is the main routine, and it does it all in the amount of time that it needs. And I tried to get rid of as much machine language as I could. I don't think there's a single real genuine machine language command here except for CLI and SEI. And those are necessary to turn off, interrupts. And I think that anybody who can't learn SEI and CLI, I mean, come on, those are really easy machine language commands. They basically just turn off your interrupt and turn it back on. The reason why I do turn off the interrupts is so that the key scan routine doesn't interfere and cause flickering. And then this is a routine I created for this program called Catch. This tells which raster line to wait for before executing the rest of the code here. So I really wanted to try to give, the impression this is as much basic as I could possibly do. As a matter of fact, even right here, this, could be machine language, but I made it basic just to show that it could be done in the amount of time necessary to create, to show that this, that this will work, that all this will, create the ball bouncing and all that, and the sprites and all that, in 1/60th of a second. So, and then here's the catch routine. Now, honestly speaking, I think I'd already mentioned this before, but I do really think I'm going to make this a command in a future version, so that people can, I call it catch because you're basically catching that raster line at a certain point. And if you try to do it in basic, even with Vision Basic commands, it moves so fast that you're probably not going to catch it. There'll be flickering going on and stuff like that. So machine language is pretty much necessary. But like I said, anybody could take this code here, copy it, put it into their own programs, and voila, simple. This is the routine that draws the ball. This is actually the pattern fill I used. Now, typically when a person is going to design a pattern fill, they're going to, they're going to want it to be stacked vertically. I did it horizontally, but I don't know if this makes sense, but let's put some spaces to kind of show you what it's doing. These pattern, these different symbols get converted to pixel data, and this is your first row of pixels, second row of pixels, third row of pixels, and then fourth row. And then you need 2 lines of this to create 8 rows for a character, because the way that the fill works for bitmap fills is basically the same thing you would do for characters. So, oops. Sure. Anyways, the code command allows you to just define, characters, and this is multicolor, so it's only going to be four symbols wide. But code allows you to define characters and sprites and all that. I kind of copied the idea from Simon's Basic. And this is the command that actually points to the data in memory where the shape is residing. In this case, again, this is for bitmap purposes, not actual character data. Excuse me. But I guess I could take some questions now, because I'm not sure if everybody's like understanding, or, where's everybody at in all this?
I'll be putting my order in later this week.
You what?
I'll be putting my order in later this week.
You playing your what?
I'll be putting in my order later this week.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's really hard to explain all this, and you know, I don't know where everybody's at. You know, I know a lot of people are probably just game players. You know, I'm, like I said, I play games, but I suck at games mostly, and you know, but my game, like I said, my game is programming. It's just, that's how I view it. You know, this is what I enjoy doing, is just, and sometimes I enjoy you know, the challenge of programming. I mean, sometimes I don't like it because it's like, dang, this is hard, but you know,
I'm sorry, we have a question here, actually.
okay, go for it.
He's wondering, you said it needs an RU or a super CPU. I guess that means it wouldn't use like one of those GeoRAM cartridges.
GeoRAM is something that I'm looking at trying to get you know, incorporate in the future. I actually own a couple of them. I bought a couple of them just to test on, but you know, I needed to get this software out the door. I wasn't sure, you know, how easily it would be to put GeoRAM, you know, make it grafted in.
Was
say-
actually ways for programs than the RU was.
Wait, say that again.
Yeah, because the reason I ask is I've heard the RU is and GeoRAM is accessed by software in different ways.
Oh, well, yeah. What I would do with GeoRAM is I would treat it like the RU. It would have to be, everything has to be treated like RU memory, because you have to kind of pick a format that you want to go with and just be consistent with it, because it's really hard to, the way that Vision Basic is programmed is that it doesn't, you know, it can't be super flexible. So what I would do with GeoRAM is I would copy it to the same location that the RU, you know, copy GeoRAM data over to where the RU data is copied over to. So that way it could be dissected at the location that, you know, RU data is, you know, analyzed at. That's what, you know, I had to make that decision with the Super CPU as well. Initially, this was programmed to more focused on the Super CPU. And the problem with that is that I had to, when I tried to, you know, add RU functioning, it dramatically slowed down RU functioning, because then I had to treat every byte of data in the RU as an individual unit. And, you know, the RU works better if you copy large chunks of memory over, and then you can analyze it and do what you want with it and then send it back or whatever. But see, the benefit of the Super CPU is that it has that, you know, that really fast, you know, acceleration. So even if I slow down the Super CPU, it's still going to be fast enough, you know, to work on a Super CPU without slowing down. As a matter of fact, you know, if you compile on the Super CPU, it's faster to compile. But what I want to do with the GeoRAM and all that is I really want to try to speed up the compiling process first, because, you know, if you do have, you know, a GeoRAM and you try to compile a larger program, it will be even slower than, you know, if you were using an RU. So I really need to try to speed up the compiling, and I think I have I think I can do it, but I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. And anyways, I hope that answers the question. Does that work? I mean, I don't know. Okay, I don't know where to go from here.
So do you want to go to the pre-selected questions now, or?
Yeah, we can. I think
Okay.
I showed everything I wanted to show. I mean, I've tried to, you know, impress as much as I can. I think some people have been.
No, that was impressive. That gave me Amiga bowling ball, bouncing ball vibes. I don't know if anyone else feels like that, but I was like, wow, it looks like the Amiga almost.
Yeah, well, I try to create stuff that I think, oh, that might be a cool idea, you know. But the idea is just to show that with the right kind of programming, you can do a lot of things with Vision Basic. I mean, it's just like anything, you know, if you're doing pure machine language, sure, you can. I mean, even in machine language, you kind of have to, like, you know, sometimes, you know, break a rule or you know, do a trick, you know. And in Vision Basic, you just have to kind of still have that mentality that you may have to apply a trick to get things to do what you want them to do. You know, I think that you can get great results. I think if you know, even if a person just learns a few machine language commands, can accomplish a whole lot more in Vision Basic. If they just learn a few commands. I mean, just some of the most simple stuff. They don't have to learn every little tiny thing about machine language, you know. And my goal with Vision Basic is to try to provide things like, you know, run packs, or not run packs, is it run? No, add-on packs, to try to, you know, like the smooth scroll one, to help people, you know, realize their own visions, you know. So but you know, you're going to have that programmer mindset of what kind of trick can I use to accomplish this and that, whatever, you know. And so hopefully I can prove, you know, when I do my next video and I've got the enemy ships on there and everything, I can prove that, you know, with a little tricks here and there, you can get decent speeds and a decent game. And it would look like machine language, you know.
Okay, so I'll begin by asking the first question, I guess.
Does somebody have a question?
What, someone have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, some of the the Ethernet cards for the 64, is there any plans to support anything like that?
Which thing?
Well, there's some people who have come up with Ethernet adapters for the 64. Utilities such as that, cards such as that. I'm just wondering if you're planning on any support for those.
Now, which thing specifically? I'm not understanding.
So you know how you can do some networking on the 64 now?
Oh, okay.
Stuff that you can plug in. I think it's over the serial port. Is there any planned support for that in the future?
Well, I mean, my thing is that I have to actually have a product in my hands to test it out. There are some things I'm not really knowledgeable about. I mean, as nerdy as I might be, I'm not that nerdy. You know, there's just some things that people are really, really good at. I think with disk drive communication and other types of communication, that's a weakness for me. So I'm not sure I'd really be able to pull that off. I think that what I would like to see people do is for other people to kind of see if somebody more knowledgeable can come up with, you know, say an add-on pack for that kind of thing, because you can create your own commands for Vision Basic. And, you know, just like the screen scrolling one, that's it's an add-on, but it acts like a command. So somebody could theoretically, you know, support all kind of adapters and all kind of things if they just create the appropriate add-on packs.
Cool.
You know, so the question is are any of my buyers on that end of the spectrum where they might be knowledgeable? Because I think a lot of people who do buy Vision Basic are, you know, they love basic, and therefore they might not be that knowledgeable about, you know, Wi-Fi, or, you know, I mean, you know, connecting to the internet and stuff. So it would be nice if I could find somebody who would be willing to do those kind of things. But I just I do have you know, as I'm really good at math, I'm really good at numbers, and there's a lot of things I'm good at, but there's some things I'm just really lousy at. So, you know.
Cool.
Okay, ready for some questions now.
Okay, I'll ask the first pre-selected question. So this first question comes from a member of the TPUG Discord server who goes by the name Low Level. They asked the following: how you can inline machine language instructions with the square brackets. Often I find it painful to use decimal numbers when thinking about memory locations or registers. Is there a Vision Basic convention to allow specifying hexadecimal instead?
Okay, yes. Essentially what you do is you put a $sign in front of the hex number, and that's kind of normal. but you know, like you just do it like that. You can do whole numbers up to 16,777,215. And that would be that 6Fs. That's probably the highest number you can do. You cannot do hex with decimal point notation. No, you can't do like this or anything like that. And you could do this like, you could do like A equals FFFF, you know, but again, you can't involve any decimal point notation or anything like that. Just as much as this person who asked here finds decimals painful to use, I find hex very painful to use. So, you know, I tried to wrap my brain around it, and my brain hates hexadecimal, but you know, some people have wrapped their brains around it really well, and now they don't like decimal. So I provided the capability, but you know, I don't use it myself, but it's there if somebody needs it, and it's there. You know, like I said, you can do like a machine language command, and then FFFF, and then array node D. Let's go back to I think this is the common one, and it would load the accumulator with whatever value is in that address.
Okay, so a $sign is a key, pretty easy peasy. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's what people use in assemblers anyways, to distinguish between the two anyway. So I just was like, well, that's easy. That's an easy thing to do. Now, I will say that there may be some situations where this may not work. I would dare say try to keep it to, you know, machine language instructions. There may be cases where it just might not work. I don't know for sure. You know, I try to graft it in to Vision Basic. So there may be some situations where like you're doing like, you know, say up here in this line, and for some reason you might change one of these to hex, and maybe it doesn't, you know, get treated properly. I don't know. I haven't really done any extensive testing to know. It's like I said, it was the ability was grafted in to Vision Basic, and I tested it as well as I think I could, but there might be situations where it may not work, but it should work for assembly language. So
Okay, wonderful. So the same member low level also asks, do you have any thoughts or plans for C128 native version? And along the same lines, a reader by the name of C64 Stuff from the C64 community website asks, any plans for other Commodore computers, such as the VIC-20, PET, Commodore 16, and the Plus 4?
okay, I don't have any immediate plans to migrate Vision Basic over to other computers. I certainly won't create any versions for like computers like Atari or TRS-80. There are potential hurdles to porting Vision Basic over to other computers. The first is RAM expansion. Vision Basic needs at least 256K of extra RAM. Future versions may require more than that, actually. Another issue is memory layout. The Vision Basic program itself extends all the way up under the basic ROM. So Vision Basic itself is about 42K in size, and it pretty much uses all the RAM up to location 53247. Future versions of the software will likely also use the RAM under the kernel and possibly the 4K in front of the kernel. And I think that's pretty much the entire 64K being tied up. So if the RAM expansion on other computers is in the form of bank switching, I don't know if I can work with that kind of a setup or not. I haven't researched it yet. And like I said earlier, I do plan to add GeoRAM support at some point in the future. Vision Basic was designed around the C64 architecture, so I don't know how much rewriting would be necessary to make it work, make Vision Basic work with different screen dimensions like the VIC-20. And finally, I really know very, very little about other Commodore computers, so writing routines to take advantage of their graphics and sound capabilities could take a lot of time, and I'm not a super nerd, so I'm pretty slow at programming. But without knowing all of the details about all these different computers, I'd say that the least likely candidate would be the VIC-20, and the most likely candidate would be the Commodore 128. I mean, if I were to have to pick a computer I'd probably say the 128. Another thing to consider is demand. This is important because the demand for Vision Basic, it's not incredibly high. It's a niche or niche product. I could put a ton of effort into making different versions of Vision Basic and only sell a handful of copies. And I certainly don't want to put forth that much effort into something if people aren't going to buy it. So there are a lot of hurdles here. It doesn't mean it won't happen, but I do want to outline though that my immediate plans involve an update to the software, especially to speed up the compiling if I can do it. And eventually I want to do an upgrade or two. So do I pause what I'm doing to work on other versions for other computers? It took 10 years to make Vision Basic, or do I continue to work on Vision Basic? And, for the time being, I really want to keep focusing on the Commodore. Like I said, the first update, I want to fix bugs, add GeoRAM support. And then for an actual upgrade, I want to make certain things easier and to improve some existing commands. Another big problem is that Vision Basic doesn't have much wiggle room for me to add more stuff. So that will be the challenge going forward. Another question to ask is, do I port over the current version of Vision Basic to other computers, or do I port over the improved versions? It's kind of hard to do a port and then simultaneously try to improve all versions at the same time, since the code for each will be somewhat different. And so if I'm going to do a port, I'd honestly rather wait until I perfect the software, until I get it into some kind of final form. And just one more comment before you ask more questions. I do have another software project that I'd like to work on down the road. And this one should also be proof of interest to people who love the Commodore like I do. I'm not going to spill any details about it because, I don't need the competition for it. But, time will tell on this, because if Vision Basic doesn't sell well into the future, it's like, am I just wasting my time? I really am hoping that, what I do helps people. I don't want to just put a lot of effort into stuff that people aren't going to, latch on to. So, all that considered, like I said, there are a lot of hurdles, and I'm probably likely to wait until I have a more finalized version of Vision Basic before I venture out.
Okay, fair enough. C64 stuff would also like to ask, what about a Mega 65 version? And similarly, a reader named Calvin from the Commander X16.com website asks, how long until we see a Commander X16 version?
Okay, well, I've kind of sort of answered that, but if I were to make a port of my software to other computers, these two actually hold my greatest interest. Again, with all the issues mentioned earlier, there are concerns for these two computers as well. Again, having time to make it happen is probably the biggest hurdle. And I think that the more similar a computer is to the Commodore 64 and its architecture, the easier it will be to make a port. So, I would think that the Mega 65 would be like the closer candidate, but I really don't know at this time. I've had keen interest in all these projects, and it's like I would love to do all kinds of things, but when you look realistically down the road, I do this in my spare time, and they're just different hurdles, and how realistically can I get this done? So it's something that I would love to do, but can it be done? Will it be done? I can't answer that right now. I just know that there's a lot of hurdles.
Okay, and the last question comes from me, which is this. Most of the attention has been focused on Vision Basic's graphics commands. How many commands are there for the C64's sound and music capabilities? And what are some of the examples of those commands?
Well, I had to get my manual out. I don't play much with the sound on it. I do actually plan to add sound to the game, in my YouTube video, but that will probably be the third video. So, in the series, I got the book though. I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's nine sound commands. The goal that I had with Vision Basic is, for the most part, is to avoid people having to poke. You know, that is like one of the things that when you get into the Commodore and you're like, you're trying to make programs, you're like, it's just poke this, poke that, and poke doesn't say anything. It just, it's just like, am I poking a sound register? Which one am I poking? It doesn't really say much. So my goal with Vision Basic is to make it where a person, if they wanted to, would not have to poke. I mean, you can still poke, like even in my example, I'm poking the sprite Y registers. And I need to say something about that too, but I'm gonna get back to that. But anyways, so let me see if I could type up something real quick. Now, if anybody has fallen asleep, I apologize. Before I get into sound, let me go back and explain something I did up here too, that it's like the poke, and I just want to explain it real quick because remember in my ball bouncing thing, we set the top 8 sprites, and we're like, okay, X and Y and all that, and these commands are slower. So then here I'm using the machine language equivalent, poking the Y values into the thing, because one of the things I realize here is in the ball bounce, we've already established the X coordinate. We don't need to, the ball, when we try to move the sprites down and to the next row, the X coordinate is consistent. We don't even have to change it. So that's one of the tricks I used in this. We're just essentially, what I did here is we're just setting the Y coordinates, and this is even quicker. So I just wanted to point this out before I clear out this program and explain what was going on. And this is one reason why this works so fast, is because we're just focused on the Y coordinate. Okay, anyways, I don't know if anybody wanted to know that, but let's see. Okay, and before you do any sound in Vision Basic, you would type SID clear, and that essentially clears all the registers, sound registers. And also you can set your volume with 15 or not, with the vol command. And there are other parameters for this command, but it's that most people won't use them. So you want to, if you want to set it to the highest volume, you do volume of 15. Then you have to specify which voice you want to work with. So you get 1, 2, or 3. So let's just say we want to do voice 1. And then say we set the frequency for the voice. Let's do 100. Now this is, when you work with frequencies, you're usually poking 2 registers in BASIC. But here, it's a single value that gets broken down and put into those registers. So this is, this value can be, let's see, this value can go up to 65535 here, wait, 65535. Yeah, they can go up that high and as low as 0, but we're just going to see what happens with 100. It's probably going to be really low. And then let's see. I think first you do your attack and decay and all that. So the next command, I really wanted these to be words. I know in a lot of basics you have envelope. Oops, spelling it right. That's a long word and easy to misspell. So I just went with ADS-SR. And here you can set your attack, decay, sustain, or release. So let's just say, you want an attack of 10. I don't remember what decay. I think decay you want it like, I think you want it high. Oh no. Let me see. Never mind. Let's just put some values in. I'm not very, I have to brush up on sound. You have your sustain volume and then your release duration. Okay, so whatever. Let's just plug some values in and see what happens. And then in order to make the sound actually play, you use the wave. So let's see. The first bit is the gate bit. So you want to turn the sound on, or start the cycle. And then we need to pick a waveform. So let's do sawtooth. Wait, is it 3? No, it's 2 is sawtooth. Okay. So you have different values you can plug in. And these all are like values you would commonly see. So like the triangles would be 1, sawtooth would be 2, pulse would be 4, and 8 would be the noise. Let's see, and then I think you can combine them together. And then finally, let's do a key press, wait on a key press. And then once the key is pressed, we can turn the release cycle on. And we don't have to specify this again, I don't think. So anyhow, let's see what happens. If it could just glitch on. I don't know. Okay, that's like too low. Okay. That's like that's like a car sputtering. Okay, there you go. I mean, the nice thing is you don't have to use a single poke. And once you set you clear it out, you set your volume, all these commands here, these, from 60 to 30, these are the main commands you'll be working with. And there are a few more commands, but this is essentially how you would do a sound. You can, alter its pitch however you want in your programming,
I couldn't hear anything. Is it possible to make the volume louder?
Oh, you're talking about for the
The sound. Yeah, I couldn't hear anything. I don't know if anyone else heard.
Oh, wow, that's embarrassing.
No, it's okay. Does vol 15 is a maximum, or
yeah, I think it's just because,
wonder why it's not coming through louder?
well, it might, it's probably the setting down here. I probably have it set to a certain volume. We'll see what happens. I don't know, it may not record sound from the thing. So let's see. Let's see. I hope it works. If it doesn't, I don't know what to do to fix it. Was that audible?
I don't think I could hear anything. Did anyone else hear anything?
No.
No, I didn't hear anything
No.
here.
It's okay. At
Oh,
least
okay.
there's 9 commands, right? Which is pretty generous, right? So
Yeah.
that's the key.
Well, the goal with Vision Basic is to make every single pokeable register where you don't have to poke it. Let me see if I can fix this. Let's see, share. Advanced sharing options. I don't see anything for sound. I'm not sure why the sound is not coming across, unless it has to do with the fact that my microphone is, the fact that recording my microphone may not.
But you know what? I think Zoom filters out noise. Maybe that's why.
Ah,
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. So we'll chalk up to that.
well, I apologize. I don't know, man. If I do another presentation, I'm hoping I can at least share the audio, because it's working on my end. I can hear it through my
I'm pretty sure it's
earphones.
the filtering out. It filters out noise in the background type of thing. So
Wow. We can
Let's
try
do-
a higher frequency.
Any dogs nearby?
no dog.
Anything? Can you hear anything yet?
No. Okay.
Wait,
it's
I'm
okay.
gonna put my headphone up to the speaker. Hold on. Could you hear that? Were you able to hear that?
Still couldn't hear anything. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I think the software is taking the sound out.
Is it?
Because I put my earphones right up to the microphone.
Did you? Okay.
So it's thinking, it must be thinking that's, oh my gosh, that's terrible.
It's all right though. I mean, it's great. 9 commands. It's really good.
Yeah, well, you just get tired of poking. I mean, I'm sorry, most programmers are just like, oh man, what's that number again? 54272, and I just really wanted to make it as friendly of a basic as I could, because there are some there are some compromises in Vision Basic. I know if, I don't want to wow people too much, so there is some limitation here. You can't do A equals X, time. Wait, you can't do stuff like, can't use the brackets like you can in normal, let's see. You can't use certain commands like this. You can't do the embedded stuff. You have to do workarounds for it. So there are some, wait, I'm sorry. A equals, no, equals, nope. You can't, like, for this example, this would not work as it's written. So, the sign command is part of an add-on pack. You can add sign functionality. It's one of the commands I didn't include because, does every person want, the sort, the code that generates signs to be a part of every single program they create? I mean, that just creates more bloat. The other thing is it just would have been too hard to program. So I did create an add-on pack for signs, but the whole embedded thing here, nested stuff, when I created Vision Basic, I was trying to make it as close as I could to basic, but some of these things like nesting and all that are very complex things, and I just really did not want to have a language or have something that wasn't going to work, that was going to be glitchy. I wanted a stable language. So things like this, this is a limitation. A lot of people do like screen, they'll do like this, and this would work fine in basic, but you have, your order of operation is important here, because in Vision Basic it's strictly left to right. So if we take the screen location, we add X to it, then we add Y to it, it's going to multiply everything by 40. So you have to work around, you have to remember these things. So this would be the equivalent, and this would work. So there are some limitations. I've tried to minimize them, but there are some. But what Vision Basic does is it makes up for it with speed. It makes up for it with, commands like this. So, I mean, when I program in Vision Basic, I'm used to all these things. So it's just, I enjoy using, the language because I know how it works, and I know, the couple limitations you have there. It's like, I'm just used to it. So I program, fully knowing those things. So I don't know.
Now I've counted 6 commands for sounds. What are the 3 remaining ones?
Let's see. There's a cutoff command. There's a filter command. These are all like, pulse.
Okay, pulse, cutoff, and
Yeah, these are all commands that are, I mean, every register is accounted for. Every sound register is accounted for. So.
Okay, so there's 9 in total, like you said, right? 9 commands for sound.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah.
Great, that's good. Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Like I said, I wanted every register to be able to be used. I mean, I didn't. I don't think I don't think there are any common registers that aren't, that aren't supported with a command. Now, like I said, occasionally I'll just do a direct poke, like just be like, let 53285 equal the color. I mean, that's lower level, but not 16. The commands are there. Like I said, sometimes you might need a little speed, so you might be like, well, okay, I'll do to get a little speed. If you have a part of a routine where it's like you really need that little extra push of speed, you can do it.
Okay, so that's all the questions we selected from readers around the web. So before I give my closing remarks, can we all take a
It's
moment?
like 2 hours later.
Oh,
People,
sorry?
I'm surprised. It's 2 hours later. I'm like surprised I took this one.
So before I give my closing remarks, can we all take a moment to unmute ourselves and give a big round of applause to Dennis? Oh, I think everyone's asleep.
Absolutely, well done.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you. I hope I entertained.
Very good.
I think I hear some snoring somewhere, and I'm joking.
Okay,
No,
so
I
that's
don't know.
me going to the website and clicking the purchase button.
yeah.
Okay, well,
I
cool.
want to thank Dennis for working so hard to create the demo for us today, right? So I want to thank everyone for tuning in as well. So please visit visionbasic.net if you'd like to learn more about Vision Basic. And on that website, you'll see links to Dennis, his YouTube videos, as well as his online store if you'd like to buy a copy of Vision Basic. Now, pay special attention to the 1.0E package. The E stands for economical. So that package has free worldwide shipping, by the way. And
Yeah,
like Dennis mentioned up front, there's also going to be a Black Friday sale potentially. So watch out for that in the next coming weeks, right?
Yeah, if you're cash strapped, I'd say go for it. You want to throw a little money my way, you can pay more.
That's for the 1.0E package, right?
Yeah, the other packages, I'm just like, if I mark them down anymore, I'm like, I don't know, I might be losing money. I mean, yeah, the shirts I'm already taking a loss on because most people didn't want the shirts. So, I won't be lowering the price of the top two. Maybe rarely, but I might. But I'm not going to make the one without the shirt any cheaper because I really want to get rid of the shirts. They're just not hot sellers, so they're going to stay the same price. The shirtless one and the one with the shirt. No matter what price they are, they're going to stay the same because I just want to unload the shirts.
Yeah.
So Enyo, I'm going to turn it back to you. How do I turn this presentation back to you, Enyo?
You don't. I can just have it from here.
Yeah, do that. Sorry. I don't know how it works.
So I think we're pretty much done. Except for me, I was about to put my credit card into the website. But yeah, I think we're pretty much done. We definitely need to start closing up the church. So I think I'm going to close it out unless anybody has anything they want to add.
This is wonderful. Wow.
Before I forget that, please keep an eye on tpug.ca and worldofcommodore.ca for updates for World of Commodore in just over 2 weeks. We've got quite a few speakers lined up already. And I just had a couple more requests in today. So yeah, definitely make it out. Expect a Zoom for anybody who's paid the full price. Expect a Zoom link in your email through PayPal or Interact, however you reached out to us. And you'll be getting that whether you're coming or not, but please do not send that Zoom link to anybody. Don't post it anywhere. It's our main income source for TPUG. This is how we are able to put in talks like this for you. If you have any questions, please join the Discord server, join the Toronto CBM mailing list. Feel free to ask. And yeah, thank you for tonight. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Dennis.
Have a good night, everyone. Ciao.
Bye.
Shoot.
For those of us born in person like myself.
Yep.
Is it possible to pay